Welcome everybody to the World Cooking Guide. Since we now have all the needed ingredients, we can now finally start cooking up some worlds. For that I will lend you some handy tricks and important general tips. Though one last thing before we jump into the fun. For the love of God and your mental stability and sanity, back up your worlds. Trust me, I speak from experience when it comes to losing entire custom worlds due to glitches or crash loops. A topic that will give its own video. So please, do yourself a favor and always make a copy of your worlds while they are still in progress or before getting experimental with TMI or friends. You may know the ingredients and the way you've cooked your map, but no dish is ever truly the same, as much as you may try. For better or worse. So, you have awoken to another lovely day in the constant, with a world ready to be shaped and molded to your heart's content. So many possibilities and creative ways to engage or mercilessly murder your friends. You did arrive with ideas, right? You might have heard the saying of, don't throw everything into a single pot, which can very much apply here. Whether it's just a few or a mountain of ideas, don't get ahead of yourself. It's easy to get a little overwhelmed with possibilities once you realize the power you hold. You still want people to have fun in your server after all. I mean, I hope you do. But tossing way too many ideas into one place can easily leave you with quite a mess. So, instead of having to grab a towel every time your radioactive broth spills over, let's just not get this far in the first place. Keep your ideas separate or combine 2 or 3, just don't overdo it. It will feel much more cohesive and focused and will allow you to put much better quality into whatever you may be cooking. A knockoff Forge Arena? An island just to hang out and fish? A challenge map for streaming? A map full of Grecs? All wonderful ideas, as long as you don't smash everything together. For this reason and a few others, I also recommend a testing world that serves no other purpose than to, well, test stuff. World ideas, wacky mods, creature interactions that would never happen in vanilla, and a whole lot more. Plus, it's good to have a world where you have no need to be concerned about wrecking or losing it. Now, depending on the kind of world you intend to cook up, playtesting may range from unneeded to absolutely necessary. Story or adventure maps are the best example for this, since you haven't experienced the challenge you intend for other players while creating it. Even then, I recommend that you have at least one other player that you can that can act as a playtester. You know every ingredient and little tidbit of the recipe, but others will not, meaning that they will have a much harder time and can therefore reveal issues, roadblocks, and maybe even exploits. Massive shout out to my good friend Starlos, who has suffered through a multitude of my creations. Really appreciate ya, buddy. As you may have noticed, there are quite a few turfs that are not included in the map editor's list, like stone bricks, gold bricks, fancy carpets, and more. While on a small scale this might not be a big deal, what if you have a large area you want to cover with these specific turfs? Well, worry not. DST's most underutilized headgear got you covered. The Turf Raiser helm automatically places any turfs placed into it, while digging up any turf that isn't the same. So I recommend preparing the area you want to turf with barren ground to avoid clutter. I am well aware that this is just some random vanilla item and very niche, but seriously, did anyone even remember this thing exists? On the topic of groundbreaking inventions, let's talk about the pitchfork. While it may seem rather redundant with the tools at our hand, there is something quite helpful with this little doodad. It shows the border of tiles, making for perfect reference if you want to place some objects in a line, square, corner, or the rough center of a tile. So here's a small little fun fact. When you first spawn into a world, your camera will always be turned north by default. I have no idea what you could do with this information, but I found it interesting and intriguing enough to include it anyways. And as a last bit of advice, the bigger and more ambitious the project, the more you should be prepared to take breaks. Starting a big world with the intent of customizing large portions of it can be very motivating. Though when you'll inevitably lose that flame due to the amount of time you've been working on your project, simply take a break. Maybe a day, maybe a week, just enough to get the motivation rolling again. Or if you want to stay productive, maybe start another project that is smaller in scale. Thank you very much for watching. If any of this advice is obvious or unnecessary to you, great! Advice is just advice after all. And my word is no law or higher than anyone else's. I simply spotted an empty niche in this game and decided to fill it. Slowly. I hope you enjoyed and that I will see you again very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day.